My husband surprised his son by taking him to the prom.
Don't mess up that makeup, gather. Oh my God. Okay, here's the emotion.
You guys. So, does anybody want to comment on that? Did he? I was about to call him she. That's crazy. Did he look pretty to you guys?
No, he looked a mess.
Why do you look a mess?
Definitely look different.
He looked like he's trying to be gay Prince or something with the dress schmess shoot. I don't know. It was a suit and then it was a dress. No, there was I didn't like it at all. The whole no.
Definitely different.
When I first saw it, I thought that was the dad standing there, but that was his son as a transgender, I guess. And I agree with that. I'm happy about that. Like, you can't control your kids, but you can love them. And if he was there and he felt lonely and, you know, his dad being there meant that much to him, I think it was a beautiful thing to do for his child, you know?
Sometimes you gotta tell your kids no. Sometimes you
can love them if they feel lonely. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, but why go to the you
no
be lonely? When I didn't know that parents could go to the prom with their kids. I didn't know that was a thing.
I feel like it's supposed to be for your peers, not supposed to be like, you know, an adult experience. And then it's also, I don't agree. I feel like it's confusing. Like, as a father, he's supposed to be leading his son and teaching him the way. So the fact that you would publicly choose prom night to make this big, you know, thing, and then the entire family full of women behind him is like cheering it on. And I'm just like, you're literally failing him. Like, as a dad, the fact, like, he literally looks like he's hiding tears behind his glasses. Like, he can't break out a smile. He's not hyping him up in the dress. It's like he's here because he was made to support him based off of what the females in the family believe in. But I feel like he's absolutely failing his son, and this is going to have long-term detrimental effects on him in the future.
The whole family is depraved. They're all depraved, clapping and cheering that on. He's a weak man. That's why his son was looking like that. And Anton, I know we joke. Anton teased me last show about how I have a lot of gay friends. They would not have approved of that. He shouldn't even felt comfortable wearing that wig, full face of makeup in front of the father. And then the father's going to stamp it and go to the prom. And like y'all said, what parent even goes to the prom? Then you go into the prom with your son in a dress. That's why he looking like that. Like he shouldn't even feel comfortable to even put that ensemble on in front of his father. But that lets me know who runs that household, because it's not the father. Like, that was bananas.
Okay. Go ahead, Kamaya.
I'm gonna just say this. I'll give credit where credit is due. At least the father is there supporting something, at least, you know, I will say that much. As far as the dress and the baby, that was just too much for me. I can't. I don't know. I don't even have the words for it. But I will give credit where credit is due. Dad decided to be there, whether he agrees with it or not. A lot of fathers nowadays can't even really say that they even know their child.
So you feel like it's better that he would encourage the mental illness of him having a gender identity crisis instead of hurrahing his child for, again, he can't even 100% confidently, you know, escort him to the prom or whatever he's doing. Like, he can't even do it confidently, which shows that I don't understand the point of like giving him a little bit of a cookie for support. Like he shouldn't be supporting that. Even if you're comparing him to fathers that don't know their children, compare him to fathers that do know their children. Most fathers that do know their children would not support that.
So what is he supposed to do exactly?
Not
He's supposed to not escort his son to the prom. He wouldn't be in pictures. He like I'm not showing
It's
up.
irrelevant. He's not doing that for you. He's doing that for his son. And this is a lot of times the problem with these kids deleting themselves. Instead of you caring about the mental health of that kid, meaning he probably has the worst life of all of us combined. Every time he goes outside, 1 second, every time he goes outside, somebody calls him. Every time he takes a picture, there's y'all talking shit about him. And it's fair. You guys can do whatever you want. That job is actually making sure that this kid is okay. That kid is grown. He's not a child. He's a grown man. So
That's not
you
true.
you have to show. So is that a
A
7-year-old you can't
senior,
show?
a senior in
1.2
high
million
school is a
people saw it.
teenager, and
Yeah,
your
he's a
job
kid.
as a parent is to guide your child and raise them up with the correct values. So
And
no,
already
I
done.
mean, you
fall
can't
out
force
of
a child to
He
do
didn't know he
One mic,
didn't.
ladies.
He
If
One mic. Don't
failed.
jump fatty. Don't jump fatty. One mic.
He'd have did better not being a father, because him being there, look at what happened. And 1.2 million people saw it on X and they was all laughing at him. So if you talk about
that's the
people that,
point.
that was
Why?
making fun, I
But
was
there's
making fun of it. I was making fun of it.
and you can do it, but that's why the
Not
father is there,
everybody.
because of people like you making fun of the kids. Unless you are trunks from the future, you can go to the past and re-engineer whatever that kid became. He became that person. He became Magic Johnson's son. If you love
And
your
I'll
kid, what do you do? If that kid becomes Magic Johnson's
you
son,
set
what do you do? Do
standards.
you abandon him?
from the prom.
Yeah,
I'll say
yeah.
this much. I'm gonna
So
say
you
this much.
abandon the kid because he became like
You
this?
don't you
Not
don't
taking
support
him to
that.
the
Yes,
You
prom.
don't support
yes,
that.
That's
Patty,
crazy.
Patty,
yes.
I'm gonna
You
say
can
this
have a
much.
gay son.
Because
You don't
then
have
I failed, and I haven't
I'm gonna
done
say
parent if you literally do the correct opposite, the direct opposite of what I raised you to do and believe in. Now, we're going to, obviously, we don't know 100%. We're going to assume he was raised under the standard values of what we all believe in. So for
I
you
can't
to
do
do
that.
the opposite of that, no, I'm not gonna encourage
And,
that.
I don't think we can do that.
we don't
any
I don't,
even know if that father was even there his entire life. We don't
Why are
even
you?
know
Why?
if he was raised by a single mother, which promoted this type of behavior to begin with, and if they had just gotten back into conversations of the father being in that child's life. We need to remember that our community is not the best community to begin with. We're the first community to always criticize and ridicule and pass judgment on people from a distance. We're literally outside looking in. So we don't know what that child's life was coming up, as Fatty was saying, but we're always the first ones to say something negative about someone else's life that we know nothing about. Now, the other thing is when it comes to how we're raising our children, yes, we are supposed to hold this standard because as Black people, we are that community that stands in front of a lot of people, a lot of like all the time. We're always the first ones to get looked at a certain way, whether it's our own culture or other people's culture. But the thing is, we are not actually creating a culture where we hold that standard that we are ridiculing others about. We are literally not being those people all the time. So if we can go out and say, yes, we're against transgender and all of this other things, are we against fornication? Are we against, having children out of wedlock? Are we against all of these other things? Are we against,
Like
being alcoholics or drug addicts? Or are we actually those people that are generational curse breakers? Or are we just sitting here saying this is something that we are supposed to be doing, but we are all not holding that standard? I know, as for me, I follow God and I follow what the word says, and I try to do the best that I can to implement that in my life. But I know there's a lot of us that don't even acknowledge the Bible or acknowledge how we're really supposed to be walking. So I
You
think
have to be
are
lying.
in that.
You are absolutely, either you are misguided or you got to be lying right now, because there's no way in the world that you could listen. I'm cool with people having differences of opinions, but there's no way that you can sit here and tell me that you actually follow and believe in the Bible, but yet you think that this is okay.
No. Now this is the thing. I'm not saying that this is okay. What I'm saying is that we need to be able to separate the action that we don't like from the people. Like
No, we don't.
these are actions
No, we
that
don't.
are not okay.
These
Like,
are
of
the
course,
people
I would
that
never want my son to be in a dress going to the prom or anything like that. That's nothing that I would actually say,
you
yes,
cannot
go
separate
ahead
the
and do that.
actions from the people if the people are the ones that are perpetuating the actions. The people are you don't separate them. You don't say, well, he's a person, but he's a murderer, but we need to separate his actions from the person. No, he killed somebody. He is the person that is perpetuating whatever crime he's being accused of.
So then if you say that, then that means that every single situation would be the exact same, whether like when you're killing someone. So if someone is actually killing someone in defense compared to someone just killing it because it was premeditated and then they just intentionally wanted to take away their life, you're saying that because it's the same action.
I think that you're smart enough to understand that the context matters. If a person is defending themselves versus actually having a premeditated murder, it's a much different action.
But like you said, they're still a murderer.
They're not a murderer.
There's no reason for it. When there's a reason behind it, it's not a murder anymore. It's a killing, so it doesn't go against the Bible.
Correct. So you can't just say a person is a murderer because a life is taken. You can't say that. If I'm working heavy machinery on a job and then the cable snaps and you die because you were doing another job that was just as dangerous and you are the worst person that caught the worst end of it, am I a murderer? Because somebody got killed as a result of me, making a mistake operating the machinery, or somebody made a mistake and didn't tie the cable right. Are they a murderer because somebody else died, or does the context matter?
Correct. The context does matter, but when it comes to someone defending themselves and killing someone where you actually physical, I would see that as still a murder because they go to court for
you wouldn't go to court if you defend if somebody breaks in your home and they have a gun and they're trying to kill you and you shoot to defend yourself. You're not going to go to prison to defend you might not even ever see a courtroom as a result of it.
I don't think the definition of that is murder.
Justified killing is not murder. Murder is you deleting somebody for no apparent reason. You just did it, and there's intention there, right?
Okay, I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
what I'm saying, just to clear it up, I'm not saying that I agree with that, because to me that made my stomach turn. And I couldn't imagine my own son doing anything like that because of my own beliefs. But I can't assert my beliefs on other people just because I don't like that. I don't like, seeing that you're having that around me.
That is why we are fighting principalities. Listen, if you are a person that's spiritual, and I don't want to miss a spiritual conversation, but you introduce it into the conversation. If you're a person that's spiritual, then you understand that we are not fighting just the physical, we're fighting the spiritual, right? It's fighting against the flesh. It's understanding that people have urges and sins and all of these different things, but some of the things that they're being taken over by is directly influenced by the ways of the world. And we don't subject ourselves to the ways of the world. Just because we in it don't mean that we're of it. And so if you are spiritual, we don't justify sin. We deal with it accordingly. We can have empathy. We can have sympathy. We can understand. We can work with people, but you don't justify sin by saying, well, at least this happened. It's not an at least. It is or it isn't. It's a black and white issue. God says that you either have to be hot or cold. Lukewarm, he spits you out of his mouth. We don't straddle the fence. We understand the difference between right and wrong, and we don't move the goalposts when it comes to identifying the difference between right and wrong. Now we can look at the context, we can go in and have empathy, you can approach it a different way, but we don't sit here and say, hey, that's that, you know what, at least they did. No, this is honestly, and this is why, in my personal opinion, we cannot have women on the pulpit. We cannot have women as leaders. We cannot have women guiding us as men to determine how it is that we see things. And one of the most troubling things that I seen in that video is it looks as though that guy had been broken down by the women that was in his family or that was around him that ultimately influenced him. And they were the ones that were saying, oh, man, come on.
He looked like a sucker.
He looks like a guy that ultimately gave in to the will of women that were around him. And ultimately, they turned his son into whatever it was that he was. And he did not have the role that he needed to have in his son's life. And in my personal opinion, I believe he's going to have to pay for that.
But that's
Not
part.
only is he going to have to pay for that, but his son is going to have to pay for the sins of his father and not standing up to the woman.
But that's
one of the reasons, which is one of the reasons, one of the earliest lessons that we learned in the Bible is that a man that hearkens unto the voice of a woman is ultimately going to pay the price of it. And the children, it also says that the children pay for the sins of their parents. And so one of the earliest lessons is the fact that the reason that Adam again got punished was because he hearkened unto the voice of his woman. You cannot, under any circumstances, sit there and let a woman, you can pay attention, you can take insight and information from them, but ultimately you as a man have to make the best decision for your family, and his son is a reflection of his decision making.
But yes, I absolutely agree with all of that, Anton. And just to respond to what you were saying, I want to clear up exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying, oh, at least, to make anything about this situation any lighter. What I'm saying is, I just wanted to respect the fact that the dad was choosing to still be a dad, regardless of how he felt. And again, we don't know what their situation is. We don't know if the dad literally has been there since everything. We don't know if he's been raised by a single mother. But what I am saying is that we need to pay not just attention to what other people are doing outside of us, but we need to start focusing in on how we are dealing in our day-to-day lives and the sins that we deal with, compared to just pointing out everybody else's sin. That's what I'm really trying to do.
You didn't do nothing wrong, and you shouldn't succumb to peer pressure. Respectfully,
it's not
1 second. All of y'all love sinners. All of y'all in some point of your life, you showed love for somebody that was committing a bunch of sins, and there's no one worse than you love them. Either they like whatever they did, you were loving a sinner, and you kept that way, and you probably talked with him. Y'all are not consistent. The Bible doesn't say that you actually shouldn't pass judgment to people. You should love them, have empathy for them. That's what the man is doing to that kid. If the Bible says, 1 second, if the Bible says, don't pass judgment, be humble, empathize to these people because you can walk on their shoes. What this man is doing is literally following the Bible. He knows his kid is a sinner.
No.
Listen to the point.
The Bible
let me finish. Let me finish and then correct me. Let me finish and then correct me. Let me finish and then correct me. Wasn't Jesus literally on the cross showing love to other sinners that were literally next to him? Wasn't he actually showing empathy towards them? Right? So why can y'all go ahead and have empathy for people that are sinning left and right, including your president, grab them by the pussy and do a bunch of bullshit that we're not even going to talk about, but judging judging this person, not knowing if he's a good kid, if he's a bad kid, if he's a good brother, if he's a good son, if he's a caring person. Now all of a sudden, because he's wrestling with the wig and he has nails, you should abandon them. That's some bullshit. Go ahead, you got it.
I
don't think you should abandon them, but like I said, you can't accept sin like that. Exactly. Because that's where we are as a church.
So have you ever seen Gwen?
That's how we got here with the preferred pronouns and all of that. People, we letting people rock out too much instead of holding them accountable. And as the Bible says, we can correct, we can judge as Christians.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called a righteous
I just
judgment.
want to say,
It's a righteous
question.
judgment. Christ had said, "Do not cast whoever goes forth without sin, cast the first stone." So if anybody on this panel right now has absolutely no sin, then go ahead. You can go ahead and judge. If
Do you understand? No.
okay, so
any kind of demons or any kind
I need y'all to
then
understand.
you can do that. But you're going to be judged.
Y'all just talking right now, and the unfortunate part about that is that you don't even know the reference point by which that was even said. Do you know why he said that? Do you? I'm asking you. Do you know the context, the full context, and the stories that happened prior to that, and why he said that?
You talking about when Christ went there to the woman that was about to be stoned by everybody because they said that they caught her with adultery? Yeah, I know the context of it. I know the context where, because she wasn't actually caught in the act, and in the law it says that you're supposed to catch both the man and the woman in the act.
Not why. The whole point was
and
the point of the story was about forgiveness. It had nothing to do with people actually having to deal with the sin itself. Listen,
right, correct.
Listen. Homosexuality is an abomination.